Ooh, Barracuda. I know I'm old, but I can't be the only person that's made that joke before. This episode of Some Gadget Guy is brought to you by viewers like you. All of the incredible people who share across social media, and the amazing generosity of my patrons at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More info on those awesome nerds later in the video. Welcome to a colorful refresh. The folks at Razer sent this my way, the new Barracuda X Chroma, to take on a test drive and share my thoughts. I've really enjoyed spending some time with some premium gaming headsets lately, and I never got to spend much time with the original Barracuda or Barracuda X. The X Chroma update is going to look really familiar to folks who have used Razer headsets recently, and a lot of the structure here is similar to the current Barracuda X. Ultimately, the mission remains the same. Barracuda is a headset designed for gaming first, but with a design that should blend in a little more when you wear it out and about. It looks like a nice over-ear headphone. Only now, you can throw on a dynamic splash of color. The changes aren't radical, but there is a little more happening here than just slapping on some RGBs. Around the hardware, we have similar Triforce drivers, and we'll talk about sound quality in just a bit. Full ear cup swivel, but the Barracuda is not a collapsible headphone. It won't fold up any easier for travel. I do like the mesh ear pads. I suffer a little ear sweat when I'm wearing heavier, thicker pads, and overall, the headset is light, noticeably lighter than the plainer headphones that I've been using lately. Razer claims the X Chroma has an upgraded microphone. I do not have the older Barracuda X to compare, and I'll let you tell me if this sounds okay. I recorded the whole video with this mic, no post-processing or noise reduction. Only edit was to lift levels just a little higher in DaVinci Resolve. Around the left ear cup, we have all the controls and ports, a fast switch button to switch between the Bluetooth and the USB-C dongle. I'm pointing in this direction like you can see what I'm looking at. I'm using the dongle to record this audio to my Surface laptop. USB-C port to charge, a power button that also handles your play-pause controls, a dial for volume, and a quick mic mute button. Nicely feature rich, but I was hoping we'd still have 3.5mm inputs for cabled playback. You can use the headset while charging if you have a long enough USB cable, but I was hoping we'd get either 3.5mm or the ability to use this as a USB audio device. Playback is only wireless that I can find. The quick toggle between Bluetooth and the dongle is pretty quick. There is no Bluetooth multi-point. We're not connecting multiple devices over Bluetooth, but we're recreating that feature with hardware. But for some of those concerns about wired or analog playback, you probably won't need to plug this in very often. Razer rates this for up to 70 hours of runtime. That's a sizable jump over the current Barracuda X. In my use, I got pretty close to those estimates. It's just funny, thinking back to old wireless headphone reviews where we would track an hour or two of playback and you'd see a chunk of battery that would just vanish. Today, the running theme for headset battery life is multiple days of constant use. And trying to tell you what that's like in 2 to 3 hour gaming sessions, you're talking about like weeks of use. I'm just saying, it's hard to conceptualize that in a meaningful way that might help influence a purchasing decision. It's all pretty good. That battery upgrade, though, is kind of necessary for the more visible new feature. If you use the lighting, that can cut your runtime by more than half. I don't game on stream, so lighting effects aren't that big of a draw for me, so I pretty much left them off during my testing because I wanted that really long runtime. All this fun tech, but these are still headphones, and the most important question, how do they sound? I like this vibe, but there are a few things we gotta discuss. Now, we have a couple modes that can make significant changes to the EQ, and you can roll your own custom EQ profile that gets uploaded to the X Chroma. Game, movie, and music. That comes preloaded. I really like the game profile, and I think it's doing something clever. It's the mode that has the most severe roll-off of the lows with a bit of a lift in the mids. If you've seen any of my headphone videos in the past, I'm insufferable about wanting more in the mids. I'm an obnoxious mids junkie. But for gaming, especially more serious or competitive gaming, you probably want to minimize some of the boomier sound design and focus on clarity and articulation, speech and footstep sound effects paired with surround sound. I think that contributes more to a good gaming experience than letting the sub bass just get all muddy or floppy. Doorbell. Hold on, let me go see what that is. Okay, this is hilarious. I knew that the folks at Razer were going to be doing this. I didn't know that it would show up while I was going to be recording this video. Razer has a collection of skins, and so they sent over another Barracuda X Chroma with their steel iridescent skin pre-applied. Oh, instead of holding up a box as my prop while I'm wearing this headset, I will hold up the steel iridescent headset as my prop to talk about features of the Barracuda X Chroma. I could reshoot the whole video, but I liked what I had in the first half, so we're just gonna roll with it. Whew. All right, where were we? Yes, we were talking about sound quality, and we just talked about the gaming setting. Moving to the music setting, I think this will also be a crowd-pleasing tone. It's literally a bit of a V-shape on the EQ. Now, it's not exactly my favorite. I have this playlist, I linked to it from Qobuz on Jay-Z's Caught Their Eyes. I felt that just that lift in the lows made everything feel just a bit muffled. On a whim, I switched back to the game mode and it lost a lot of the thump, but it was like just that thin layer of plastic wrap had been peeled off and I got some of the clarity back. So on a louder mix or a more aggressive pop track, the music setting could still be fun. Deep V works for a lot of people. But then we get to the movie mode, and this one's going to be a miss for me. Looking at this graph, it's an even more aggressive bass-heavy curve than the music setting. I think a lot of people out there are kind of frustrated with movie audio mixing in a very general sense, where mumblecore actor performances are buried in complex sound design. Tenet was a recent conversation about how people struggled to hear dialogue in movie theaters. It's not that the movie mode is going to turn all your movies into Tenet, but after a point, all that sub bass just kind of dulls the mix, and the EQ dips around where voices would normally cut through. For all the reasons that I praised the game mode, I would highly recommend adding a custom EQ, kind of like the game mode, but with a less severe low frequency roll-off for movies and TV. Then between those 4 settings that are all saved on the headphones, I think you'll have a good option for just about any situation that you might encounter. Now, there is no active noise cancellation on the Barracuda X. Closed back cans, we get respectable passive noise reduction, though these are not built like broadcast headphones. They don't isolate to that degree, just enough attenuation that it will minimize distraction around you. Like if you're in an office, you'll still hear everything generally, it's just going to be softened, muffled, a little bit further away. I can't really complain about that on a gaming headset, as I think there's still some sense of the environment in the design. For the consumer, where do you plan on using them? In a comfy living room gaming session, hopefully you're not competing with noise similar to being in a busy restaurant or on an airplane. I'm not just reserving this for Razer because I like Razer gear. I've also recently been rocking cans like the Maxwell. I've been using the Mobius all the way back to my GSP 670, all premium headsets without active noise cancellation that are significantly more expensive than the Barracuda X Chroma. For me, that just becomes a right tool for the right job kind of conversation. This adjusts the locations that I would want to use this headset, which I will admit is one of the tricky aspects of Razer's claim. The Barracuda X looks like a can that can move from gaming to general daily use. It's priced very competitively for that claim, but even for how clean this looks, it is more of a gaming headset. The Bluetooth connection is practical. It connects us to our phones. We can take calls. It's really handy to have, but it tops out at SBC. I think it sounds good, but for nerds like me who like those high-res labels, there are headphones that can offer up LDAC and aptX near this price tier. Similarly, there aren't any built-in microphones, so using it out and about just for media, you kind of have to be okay with either always having the microphone attached or not being able to take calls. Just for fun, I would use gaming headsets at trade shows because they were easy ways to get better microphone proximity and also help me block noise while talking at a trade show. But people would often make fun of me for looking like a lost pilot. So I don't want those points or my experiences to scare people off, because I think there's a brilliant recommendation to make here for that person who knows they want to live wirelessly for their game audio. The Barracuda X Chroma can overlap a few other use cases and do those jobs well, but they're focusing on a primary task that task being gaming. This is still a middle spot that proves difficult for a lot of manufacturers. Think of all the reviews that you see which immediately say something like, well, if you spend a little more than this, or the other option, you might improve on audio quality or some of the other individual features, and you might be able to hit a lower price if you just go down to a wired gaming headset. There's this small spectrum of audio solutions in the middle. Barracuda X Chroma delivers a feature I'll probably disable as soon as I'm done with this video, but also adds a significant bucket of battery life to a solid wireless gaming headset. There's something fun here, but also something really practical to go with it. So I will, of course, leave some links down below for folks who want more information on Razer accessories like this, the Barracuda X Chroma. I love digging into audio tech and fun new gadgets to really treat our ears. I also love hosting conversations about things like hearing health and better home recording technologies. And the folks who get to see the results of my testing and reviewing first are my amazing patrons. All the folks over on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart to this list of names scrolling by right now, as these are the folks who are literally helping to keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab. Once again, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. They're the coolest geeks in the universe, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, basically at SomeGadgetGuy everywhere, but I'm trying to spend a bit more of my time on the Mastodons, a lot less so on the Facebooks, the Threads, the Instagrams, and not much at all on the Twitters, and I will catch you all on the next review.